What's good? What's good? Salute to the Raiders Unleashed Militia family. We have special guest once again, Justin Churchill on today, but the time is going to be limited. Some things came up for him, so we're going to have to rush through this AFC West breakdown of where we feel like the Raiders are, the Chiefs are, the Broncos, and the Chargers sit in this division. So, without further ado, let's bring on Mr. AtoZ.
What's up? What's up,
What's good? What's good, my brother? What's good?
man? The show was so good last time. Had to come back.
Right? Nice. That's how we
Yeah,
do. That's how we do it over here.
and I see. I see you've been doing your thing too on YouTube and on Twitter. So yeah, man, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you noticing, and definitely, always good to have you pulling up. Nice view in the background, the green trees out
Yeah,
there, and out there in the country. I like it. So, yeah, man. How's everything going since the last time we talked? Everything.
yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Obviously, it's pretty dead right now with the league. So kind of just doing what I can until we're all kind of holding on by a thread until July 23rd. So when rookies report. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. It's good to get a little bit of not necessarily downtime, but a little off time. So yeah, but I'm excited, bro. Like I haven't been this. I can't even imagine how you Raider fans feel, but for me as my job, like I haven't been this excited for a season to get started in a long time. So for you guys, I can't even imagine how it feels. Like we talked about it last time, but like we say it a lot, but this time really does feel different. So it feels like it's going in a positive direction. I'm excited, bro.
Yeah, you got the coaches in the building. I believe it's the right fit. We're not
Mhm.
like last year. You don't have Tom Brady bringing in your offensive coordinator who doesn't mix with your head coach who wants to be the
Mhm.
offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, not let anybody do their job at their positions. So it's the total opposite. Now we got Clint Kubiak that just wants to focus on the offense and let Rob Leonard take care of the defense and do his thing over there. He trusts in him, has faith that he can handle that. And yeah, I definitely like where we're going. Definitely. So I'm pumped up. I try to keep my expectations even kill. And I feel that the way the division's going, if you look at the Broncos, right? Bo Nix coming off that injury, the beginning of their schedule is absolutely is absolutely treacherous, right? Like,
Yeah.
so they're starting out in, wait, what is this? August. All right, here we go. So they start out at Kansas City, right? And then they just happen to, have a have a home game against a playoff team in the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? And then they slide over there and they got a home game against the Rams, and now you gotta, deal with not the Jacksonville who had what the most turnovers last year, I do believe, right? So you got a defense that's prone to creating turnovers in Jacksonville. And then you head to the Rams. You have the 49ers, the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Cardinals. They might catch a break, but then they got Kansas City and Carolina and then the Raiders. I mean, that's a
Mhm.
tough schedule for the Broncos. They could easily be 500 by the time they get to us or
Oh,
less.
for sure. I mean,
Like,
and then you've got the Bills and the Patriots and the Chargers to finish the season. Yeah, they've got a tough schedule. Um, but last year their schedule wasn't as tough, and they won. We talked about it before we came on. They won a lot of really close games. So I mean, hey, let's see if they're really the real deal. They could have. Raiders fans are going to like to hear this. They could have been in the Super Bowl last year.
yeah,
So um, they're good, but like let's see how good. This schedule is going to really test them, and I do think on paper they're a better team this year than last year, but who knows what's going to happen with Bo Nix.
right. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I see y'all. I know when we got guests on, but Greg Brewer, my guy in the building. Appreciate you. Raider Paul, first one in the building. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you. Jack Gustavo was good. Faded Raider. I see y'all. See y'all. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Yeah, so that's a brutal schedule. And if you're looking at Bo Nix coming off the injury, how healthy is he going to be in the first couple games, right? Like, is he even going to be good for the season, right? Coming off an ankle injury and having surgery, it's a rough stint. It happens for every single player that tries to rush it back. I mean, you look at players
Yeah.
like like Greenlaw for the 49ers, right? The dude gets hurt and comes back in, plays 2 games, and he's hurt again. So it happens in the NFL a lot. And then you have a new play caller in Davis Webb, right? You have their defense is going to carry them, and that's how they
Yeah.
won last. That's how they won last year. When you have a top 10, top 5 defense in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
that's what wins games. That's what wins championships. So if their defense could carry them, but man, your defense can only carry you so long, and that offense is going to get rolling. I know they went and got
Waddle, Jalen
Waddle
Waddle.
from the Dolphins, right? And they got a lot of weapons over there, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see,
It,
man. We'll see this. The AFC's, just the division alone on defense is, it's filthy.
yeah. It might be the best defensive division in football. I'm willing to put it up there as top 3 for sure. But Denver, even with this schedule, they're my favorite to either win it or be a wild card team out of the division. Like they're really good on paper. Bo Nix is already throwing at mandatory minicamp. I know Sean Payton said that they expect to have him full go at some point during training camp, and they expect him to play week 1, just like Kansas City expects Pat to play week 1, and them two are playing each other. I think that they have to kind of be the favorites with what they did last year and what they have on their roster. Adding Jalen Waddle, like I think I was doing some research because I was writing a little bit about Denver this last week with them being at mentoring minicamp, and they had the fewest receiving yards to intended air yards ratio in the league. Like they didn't convert many deep balls.
Uh-huh.
Adding Waddle to that it's him alone is going to completely change that. Now I don't know if they're still going to be a good offense because you still got to be able to run the ball. Bo Nix has to be healthy, all of that good stuff. Offensive line has to be good, but Denver is my pick to win the AFC West right now as things currently stand.
So what was Waddle's stats last year? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I want to say he had over 1,000, I believe. I think he had 4 touchdowns. I could be wrong. I've written 35 articles the last week, so maybe that's somebody else's stats.
Right, I'm trying to look it up real quick. Waddle. 900 yards, 6 touchdowns,
Okay. Yep.
64 receptions. So, I mean, I don't know. Is Bo Nix a better deep ball passer than Tua?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a better quarterback than Tua.
I think he's a better quarterback all around,
Yeah.
but I mean the deep ball, right? The targets on the deep ball, because like you said, they were the lowest team in the NFL when it comes to deep ball targets.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of it too. A lot of it too is not always going to be Waddle catching every pass that's deep. I think it's going to open up Cortland Sutton a lot. It's going to open up Troy Franklin a lot. And this is not. I'm not trying to sell you guys on the Broncos.
No.
I hope that they, that they're not that great. But I don't know. I just I kind of see them being, and if they're not the number 1 team in the AFC West, because I think that there is a way Kansas City or the Chargers are, then I think Denver is the wild card out of the AFC West. But we all know how the Chargers are. They'll probably find a way to choke. So.
Yeah, I feel like that first 6 games for Denver is their season, right? That's the way I'm looking at it. If you come out, lose to the Chiefs, lose to the Jaguars, lose to the Rams, man, you're 0-3. And then you got the 49ers and the Chargers and Seattle defending Super Bowl champions. I think that's a very rough stretch, no matter how good your defense is, no matter how good, your quarterback or how, coming off that injury is going to be, he might be 100%, but you still have that in the back of your mind. I mean, just look at Derek Carr after he broke his leg, right? It was a total different player. So, not saying that's the case, but those injuries sometimes change players, change their mobility.
Yeah, and Nix is a very mobile quarterback too. So
a lot of rollouts, a lot of bending those ankles, getting the body low on those turns, right? That's a lot of pressure on your ankles. So,
and Sean Payton is a very bootleg read react type quarterback.
Yes, sir.
So, or not coach, obviously. So, I mean, it's going to factor into it for sure. I know Bo was asked about his mobility, and he says that obviously he's supposed to say this, but he says that he feels better than ever. He feels like he's actually finally healthy for the first time in his NFL career, and that he thinks he'll be able to move better. So, obviously, like I said, he's supposed to say that. He's not going to say, "Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
crap."
yeah, of course.
So,
Yeah. Uh,
but it's worth noting.
the CBS has the Broncos ceiling, I think, at 11 games, and their floor at 9 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
So if they hit their floor, man, the AFC West is going to be a battle.
Dude,
So let's
it's
jump onto the Chargers because I know you only
yeah.
got 30 minutes. But wait, am I on the Chargers? Which one am I on? Hold up.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, Chargers. Yeah.
Chargers.
So
I also think, man, go ahead. But another team that this like you said, this division is freaking loaded.
yeah, their schedule's rough, but if you're looking at the teams that if you're looking at last year's schedule, like a lot of people seem to think that teams from last year are the same team the following year, even though they spend the
Mhm.
most money in free agency. But if you look at they got the Arizona Cardinals and then the Raiders. Yeah, I feel like that game could go either way, right? We don't know what their defense is going to be. They're bringing in a college defensive coordinator.
Mhm.
How much does that change the defense? How much is Harbaugh
Right.
involved in the defense, or is it this young guy trying to pick up the learn the speed of the NFL and put his guys in the right position? And I think it leaves the opportunity for a guy like Kubiak to outcoach that defensive coordinator. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
So
no, I
y-
completely agree. That is a huge game for both teams. Week
mhm.
two, like they should beat the Cardinals week one. Um, and I think the Raiders are expecting to beat the Dolphins week one too. The Dolphins are probably going to be pretty bad. Uh,
I,
both
I
those
don't.
teams are gonna need that win to get their season really rolling, and especially in the AFC West.
I don't know how bad the Dolphins are going to be. Malik Willis is out there killing it in spring training so far.
Yeah,
Like from what I heard, and they have a running back. They improved their offensive line. They have a defensive coach now, so that's going to bring discipline to that squad. And I think a lot of people like the Raiders are sleeping on the Dolphins. I think they could be one of those teams to turn it around quick. They made some decent moves. They got some decent draft picks. They got rid of some huge contracts like
yeah,
Waddle, Tyreek Hill. So I
it,
wouldn't be surprised if they start rolling.
yeah. And it's not like I'm not saying it's like a gimme win like the Cardinals are. The Cardinals are probably going to be the worst team in the NFL. With Carson Beck or Teddy. Isn't that Teddy? Who's their quarterback? It's not Teddy
Uh,
Bridgewater.
yeah, Teddy Bridgewater, and then you have Gardner Minshew. But they also, went out and got Jordan Love. You also have one of the best tight ends in the league. You also
Yeah,
have Mark Williams, and I mean
man.
they have the players on offense and defense. And I feel like Mike LaFleur was one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in this draft cycle. Like I wanted Mike LaFleur on the Raiders. That was my guy. So I feel like he's one of those guys that could easily turn that Cardinals around, that team around. Just the style of offense that he's around with Sean Payton, knowing how he coaches, and I feel like the Cardinals could be a sleeper as well, man. Their
Yeah,
roster is, they've been a bad team for a while, like the Raiders, and they just keep piling on those draft picks. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, golly, they got,
yeah. I
if
just
they could get decent quarterback play, which I think Carson Beck was the most quarterback, was the most NFL ready quarterback coming out of this draft, is my honest opinion.
yeah, no, they have pieces. I just think that they're gonna want to lose to possibly go after Arch or
Go after a
whoever.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Um, but and with the Dolphins, like they can win some games too. But I think a lot of Raider Nation is kind of probably expecting that to be a win. But it's week one, new regime, new quarterback, so you
Yeah.
really don't know what's gonna happen. But anyways, on to the Chargers.
God,
Um,
could you imagine if the Raiders went out and lost? What would that be if they lost to the Dolphins in Week 1 at home?
yeah, there'd be a lot of upset people, I think.
Man, because last year we went and we won Week 1, and all the people that was not on the Raider train jumped on it. It was like, oh damn, yeah, we won Week 1, right? And everybody got hyped. And then week two, week 4, week 5, the
Yeah,
heads went down and down and down,
Mhm.
and the voices got quiet, and then the anger got louder. So, man, it would be crazy to get beat by the Dolphins Week 1 at home.
Yeah,
Golly,
yeah, but
golly.
um, like the Chargers, that Chargers game in week 2, like you said, it's a toss up. Like I could see it going either way. These two teams always play each other tough. Is that in Vegas or is that in Los Angeles?
It's in
Oh, it's at
SoFi.
home.
The Raiders of the yeah, it's at home for us in SoFi. So they say, which I don't
Yeah,
know how. I mean, I
I've
guess I
never
guess it
been.
is. I guess it is kind of like home because we haven't won in Allegiant Stadium really, and we haven't won in SoFi ever.
Yeah,
So I guess it kind of is like home for the Raiders if you want to put it that way. But
right.
yeah, I don't know why they're still stuck on this as a home game. I mean, I grew up watching the Raiders when they were the last year in Oakland and then moving to LA. So a lot of my childhood fandom was in Los Angeles, right? It
Yeah,
wasn't Oakland. And, when they moved back to Oakland, of course, a lot of it was there and now it's in Vegas. But um, yeah, I feel like, man, I don't know. I don't know. I think that game's going to be, it's going to be one of them games, but I think Clint Kubiak has the advantage over their defensive coach. And,
yeah.
if we could just coach it up right, I think that's could possibly be a win for us. But then, the Chargers got the Bills, they got the Seahawks, they got the Broncos, they got the Chiefs, they got the Rams, they got the Houston Texans, they got the Baltimore Ravens. And then they finally catch a break in November with the Jets. I mean,
But then it's right back to it. Patriots,
golly. Yeah.
Buccaneers,
Patriots,
Raiders
Bucks,
again,
Raiders,
49ers,
San Fran, Dolphins, Kansas
Chiefs,
City
Broncos,
Chiefs, and
and
the
yeah,
Broncos. Like I can't look at this schedule with their defensive coordinator being unknown and
and the
guys like
the
guys
injuries
like
they have
Khalil
every year.
Mack. Yeah, guys like Khalil Mack and the defense and the injuries that they have on the defense and the offense and a whole new offensive line, right? You went out and wasted
Uh,
money on Becton that didn't do anything. So the Chargers are in one of those positions, right? How's McDaniel going to do as the OC over there, changing? He's trying to change up Justin Herbert's mechanics, right, in the gun, and change up his
yeah,
footwork. And how's that going to work out, right? That could go either good or bad. So
right.
yeah, I feel like a lot of teams in the AFC West, Raider Nation's looking at this schedule, and I'm so sick of hearing people saying, "Have you seen the schedule?" Yeah, I've seen the schedule, but I don't think anybody in the building is looking at the schedule saying, "Oh, we're not going to win that game. We're not going to win
Yeah,
that game. We're not going to win that game." Right? I think they're looking at every game, going, "Man, we got to find a way to beat these teams." Right? And that's why you have scouts. That's why you have game planning. Right? That's why you have a passing game coordinator and a rushing game coordinator and a defensive coordinator. And so you game plan for those games. And I feel like we have the coaches in the building to game plan for those games. And I feel like we have the pieces. But if you're looking at, the Chargers schedule, it's very, very, very rough, right? We
yeah,
have we have one advantage that the rest of the league doesn't have, or in our division, right? AFC West. We all play the same games except for three. And those three games that the Raiders don't play is
Browns.
the Browns, the Titans, and the Saints.
Yep.
So the other three games is for them, they play Baltimore, they play Tampa Bay, and who's the other one? Who's the other one? Who's the other one? Um, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Houston.
Yeah.
Man, that's a 3 game swing right there where
Hmm.
we could win those games and they could lose those games. You know what I mean? That changes the whole trajectory of the
Yeah.
division, and it gives Raider Nation a screaming fighting chance because I know they would be losing their mind
Is
if
it is
you
it
know.
Houston? Because I think Vegas plays Houston too, right?
No, we played them in the preseason.
Okay.
We,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
a scrimmage on the
Okay.
18th, and then
But
we
the
play
Chargers
them
play them in the preseason too.
on the 20th. Yeah, they play them in the preseason too. So the Chargers will they will have a leg up in that game, right? Because
Yeah.
they watch us play them, and then we play them the second week, right? So they will have a little bit of a leg up. But Houston's defense is nasty,
And I'll
man.
say to your point about the schedule, and here is my point about like why I have them finishing second or third, and the Broncos finishing first or second or whatever. Everybody's team in this or everybody's schedule in this division is like extremely hard. Somebody's got to win.
Yep.
Like it's got to be somebody. It doesn't mean that you have to have a great record because the schedule is pretty freaking hard. Um, but I do think that the Chargers might have a little tougher schedule than the Raiders for sure, like you said.
Yeah, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos all have a way tougher schedule, and those 3 games that that we get with the Titans, the Browns, and the Saints. I think, well, maybe not the Saints, but and maybe not the Browns. You never know. Like you
And
never
maybe
know.
not the Titans.
All three, yeah, all three of those teams have been listed as most improved, and
Mhm.
and they're in the top five winners of this year. Now I've seen the Raiders at number two, so and those teams are behind us, but they have a quarterback in their second year in Tyler Shuck that he could be one of them ones. I think. Um, so yeah, the Chargers, they have a lot of questions. So Raider Nation, their defense, they have questions. That schedule is absolutely brutal. I mean, there doesn't, if you're looking at the schedule going, and I haven't heard one Charger or one Denver Bronco look at their schedule and be like, oh man, we can't win this game or this game, right? They're like, oh, this is a tough schedule, but we know we won a lot of close games last year. And if you look at the Chargers, right, they're pretty much even, right? They don't blow out a lot of teams. They run the ball, they play defense, play
Mhm.
physical, and but you're going up against some crazy offensive teams this season.
Yeah, and same with the Chiefs. Chiefs got a pretty tough schedule too.
Yeah, so Chiefs start out Broncos. Which way does this go? So I don't mess it up. Broncos, Colts. I don't think that's too bad. We don't know what Daniel Jones is going to be. It might even be Riley Leonard to start the season over there.
Yeah,
We don't know.
that's
So
a night game too. That's gonna be disgusting.
yeah, that's gonna be that's a Sunday night
Yeah,
game. Colts and Chiefs.
yeah.
So they got a short week there, and then they have the Dolphins. Which do they go to the Dolphins? I should have looked that up.
Yeah, that's in Miami.
Yeah, so I mean, dang, you got a night game, you got a short week, you got to go to Miami, and
Got to
then
go to Vegas.
and then you got to come to Vegas, and that with Patrick Mahomes coming off the injury, is he going to be playing? Are they going to bring him along slowly? Is it going to be Justin Fields? They have two brand new tackles on offense. Are those guys going to be better than the guys they had last year? Are they going to be able to protect Patrick Mahomes? Right? Is Andy Reid getting up there to where that sticking with the same thing over and over again, kind of like Pete Carroll has done throughout his career, might be
Yeah.
catching up to him, right? A team like Eden, you said that they won a lot of close games. So
Mhm.
how long can they sustain that? And is this the season where I said last year I thought they were gonna fall off, and they got a lot of weapons this year, but I just don't know. A new offensive coordinator, you bring back the enemy. There's questions with the Chiefs as well.
I think the biggest questions are going to continue to be on the offensive side of the ball. I actually think the offensive line is fine. They when healthy last year, they had a really good offensive line. They're adding, um, Kenneth Walker. That's going to improve the run game. You're going from Kareem Hunt to Kenneth Walker. That's a pretty big jump. But outside of that, the receiving core is pretty much the same. Travis Kelsey is another year older. I mean, the offense is they're going to have to figure something out there. On defense, though, they absolutely loaded up with pass rushers, which I think was brilliant. The secondary is so much different than the one that they had last year. Um, so we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah,
uh,
they brought Snead back. That's
yeah,
gonna help an
I mean,
awful lot.
if he's the same guy,
Yeah, if
'cause
like he wasn't last year.
no, or the
that's
year
what
before that.
that's why he's back. That was one of the worst trades that they could have ever made. Like,
Yeah, but his last year in Kansas City, he was one of the best cornerbacks in football. So, um,
and that brings me back to, I don't mean to cut you off, but that brings me
uh,
back to scheme fit, right? It's
yeah,
a lot of these, a lot of people want to assume that every player should be as good as he is in every scheme under every coach, and that's not the case. That's not the case. You need a coach
yeah.
that schemes stuff up for you and your strengths, and
And Steve
it
Spagnuolo definitely knows how to do that for his players. So,
yes, and the Spags does for that. And you seen, Snead's production last year was not what it was when he was with the Chiefs. So in
yeah,
Spagnola. And they also have, then after us, they have the Chargers, Seattle, the Broncos again. They get a little bit of break with the Jets, but they have the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Bills. I think the Chiefs' biggest problem is their bye week,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Early buy, I think it is.
Their bye week is what, week 5 or 6?
It's I know it's the earliest bye week Patrick Mahomes has ever had. I seen ESPN post something about that when the schedule came out. Yeah, I hate early buys. I don't know if that's good or not for him because he might be pretty rusty to start out. Um, but the early buy is usually not very good, and it's not very beneficial for you.
especially coming off an injury, like a season-ending injury, where it was an ACL. It's not like it's just something small, right? It's a knee
Yeah,
injury that a lot of people didn't even expect him to be back until halfway through the season, and now they're rushing it, and he's saying he's ready to go, and just because he's got that dog mentality, that I think that could be a problem as well, right? Um, Rushing it back, but where that bye week hits for the Kansas City Chiefs, that's filthy for them because they have a pretty tough schedule to start. When you see you have the Colts on Thursday night, then you fly to Miami, right, and then then you have to come to Vegas 2 weeks later, and then you got one more game, I do believe, and then a bye week, and then you got a whole entire season with a quarterback coming off an injury with a aging Travis Kelsey, right? That you're gonna have to play teams like the Bills and the Broncos and the Chargers and the Raiders and
Bengals.
the Rams and the Bengals. I mean, that's to me,
Yeah,
that's rough, bro. that's
yeah.
that's rough. It's gonna be tough for the Chargers, the 49ers. So the teams that they don't play, that we don't play, is the Bengals,
Falcons, or no, they play.
Falcons.
I
Yeah,
don't
we don't
remember.
we don't we don't play the Falcons. Yeah, so Bengals, Falcons,
Yeah,
and I'm trying to find the other one. Colts. So they got the Colts, Falcons, and the Bengals to our Saints, Titans, Browns. That's a 3 game stretch right there that I think the way their season hits, coming off that bye week super early, I think, man, I feel like that's going to be a big problem for the Chiefs. It's something they're going to have to deal with that they haven't dealt with in a long time.
yeah, and it could be a problem, or it could help them depending on how they're looking in the beginning of the year with injuries. Because you could get to week 6 and have a lot of injuries because this game is just as physical as it is, and as many injuries as we've seen lately from so many different teams. The Raiders have been through it too. Like that week 6 bye could be good for them, and then they could get right, or it could be like you said, really bad. So I want to ask you, where do you have them finishing within the division? That's not necessarily the record, um, but like, could you see a way where this team still finishes as a playoff team? Because I can still see them as a playoff team, but like barely making it.
The Chiefs are
The Chiefs, yes.
um yeah, I feel like within the division, the games that they play, that they can definitely be a playoff team if Kenneth Walker is, the Kenneth Walker that he was with Clint Kubiak, right? If you get the Kenneth Walker the year before that, you know, I mean, that's not much of a difference, right? If Kenneth Walker's not giving him 1,000+ yards, I don't really think it changes much, right? They had three
Yeah,
running backs that carry the load, running back by committee. So yeah, they have receiver problems. He doesn't really have that number one target, and your number one target is an aging tight end. So I
yeah,
feel like there's questions. And then, like I said, the age of Andy Reid, that's another thing, is you can only run the same system. And I think that's why he brought back Bieniemy as the
yeah,
coach, right? Because you can only run that same offense and style for so long. And same thing with the defense. I think people are catching on to Spags and how they run things and finding ways to beat those zones and beat those blitzes. So I don't know. I feel like it's very iffy that they make the playoffs.
yeah. I kind of have them as a wild card team. Um, like I don't know. Like we've said somebody's got to win the division, and it's really hard to pick one team to just run away with it. I don't think anybody's really going to run away with it.
No, I don't feel that this year.
Um,
I think the division is going to be very, very, very tough.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I will say, if Kenneth Walker is the Kenneth Walker from last year, which, by the way, statistically, it doesn't look like he's that big of a difference. But when you look at how much he ran the ball and how much he shared with Zach Charbonnet, like the guy was a monster. He didn't actually have that much of a workload last year. Anyways, Patrick Mahomes has never had a rusher over 1,000 yards in his career. He's going into year 10, so that could be huge for him.
Yeah,
Uh, Not having a number one receiver, or they could rely on the run game too much, and it could completely mess up their entire offense. So
Well, I feel like the Chiefs offense. Yeah, no, I don't feel like. I know the Chiefs offense is better when Patrick Mahomes is moving out of the pocket, right?
right,
When
yeah,
he's on the run, and I think coming off that injury, that takes away a lot of that. How long is it till he gets that confidence back, or
yeah,
does he have it from day one or
yeah,
not?
yeah.
But
I don't think that he's gonna complete like not be able to play that way anymore. I think it's like you said, how long until he gets because it's all like a mind
yeah,
thing,
it's all going to be mental. And well, is he coming back? Too soon? Because a lot of people projected the middle of the season, and
yeah,
now they're saying he's coming, but he could be ready week one. So
yeah. He's
are you coming back too fast and rushing it? That's another problem.
yeah, he's like you said, he does have that dog mentality. He's different. In terms like we all seen him roll his ankle in whatever game that was, and
Yeah, and
he
come
went to
back
the locker
out.
room, took whatever drugs they gave him, and he came back like nothing was wrong. I mean, he was still limping, but orchestrated a game-winning touchdown drive. So the guy is different, but you can definitely still be different and still rush back too early. Like that's very possible.
Yeah, and then and then like you said, those how many times have we seen him where we're like, oh, that was nasty. There's no way he's coming
Yeah,
back out, and 2 or 3 plays later, he's back out there. Those take a toll on your body. Those take a
yeah.
toll when you start to get up there in age, right?
But
So
you know what?
those
Wouldn't you
injuries
keep
pile
getting
up.
back up? Wouldn't you keep getting back up for 500 million guaranteed?
Oh yeah. I mean, no. I mean, if it's guaranteed, why?
Yeah,
why get back up? No. I mean, you're gonna try, but I'm sure the hell not gonna rush it. If I know
yeah,
my money, if I got $500 million guaranteed, and I think I can take my time and recover from my injury instead of going out there and risking being hurt and not playing at all, because that would hurt me. That would hurt me as a player. Like when I
yeah.
played in high school, right? I had my left knee go 90 degrees backwards and 90 degrees sideways. I tore everything in it.
Dang,
Shredded the cartilage, ACL,
sounds like Tyreek Hill.
yeah, ACL, MCL, shattered everything, and I tried to play the next year, and it was the stupidest thing I ever did. Tried to come back early, so yeah, and I pay for it still to this day. So
I like
come,
what, not to interrupt you, but I like what Raider Ryan said about Seahawks fans not really being upset that Kenneth Walker's gone because of the injuries. That could play a factor too for Kansas City because if he's hurt, their backup is Kareem Hunt. And Kareem Hunt is getting up. I mean, he was okay last year in short yardage situations. I think he was like 100% on fourth down. Anytime they went for it on fourth down, he got it. But other than that, he's not going to make you miss, or he's not going to make anybody miss. He's not going to break any tackles. Kareem Hunt is pretty much not got any juice left. So,
well, yeah, but he's they run that power run scheme, in inside zone pretty damn well with Kareem Hunt. That's why he gets his yardage. He's got pretty decent vision. He's solid, and he knows how to get to those holes. So
yeah,
he's made a living out of picking up those short yardage plays and those short yardage touchdowns. But yeah, man, I know we've been on here like what 30 minutes. I know you got to get off here soon. So any takes on you want to give predictions where you think each team in the AFC West will be,
yeah.
or
I'll give a soft prediction just because I don't know. I still haven't like just sat down and researched every single thing to make an official prediction. Um, so I'll go ahead and say, man, I'll say, okay, this might shock some people. I'll say, Broncos finish first in the AFC West. Chiefs as a wild card team second. Raiders third. Chargers fourth. I think
okay,
I'm not sure Justin Herbert is going to be able to hold up throughout an entire season. He hasn't in like the last few years. Like you said, the defensive coordinator problem that is a probably going to be a problem for them. New offensive coordinator McDaniel's great, but you're changing the offensive scheme, um, and you're going to have a new offensive line. I don't know.
changing your quarterback and how he put how he stands in the pocket, his base, his mechanics, like that's a
Yeah,
lot. That's a lot.
there's a lot of changing going on, and I'm probably going to be very wrong in that prediction. And but whatever. That's how I feel is going to happen. And watch the Chargers end up finishing first.
Yeah, I like the amount of teams that have gotten better just because of coaching, right? The Jacksonville
Mhm.
Jaguars, the Rams back in the past with McVay, even even the Chargers, right? Nobody thought, I mean, I didn't think that Jim Harbaugh was going to come in there and make them, a playoff contender in year one. No, I didn't see that coming. I was like, man,
Yeah.
they got a lot of work to do, and it's just like the Raiders, right? Nobody thinks Clint Kubiak is going to come in. Oh, he's never been a head coach before. Yeah, but he's been around a head coach his whole entire life. He grew up, he grew up in the stadium watching his dad, be a quarterback, and then then be a head coach and all of that, win Super Bowls. So the man's been around it. I think he's going to be just fine when it comes to the coaching ranks, and I really feel like this team is better than a lot of people are giving it credit for.
Yeah.
But we got to see it on the field. So, um, all right, man. So tell the people where they can find you, what you got going on, when you'll be back on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll set something up. But yeah, I don't really have anything going on right now. It's pretty dead. So I've been working on some stuff behind the scenes, doing some, as we call, evergreen pieces in this business, stuff that can hold its value for a longer period of time. But yeah, I've seen that, and I'm not saying the Chargers are better than the Raiders. I just simply predicted that Justin Herbert won't be able to hold up throughout the entire season. So
Yeah, and I mean, their offensive
that
line,
is probably very wrong, but
they're they made do with their injuries on the offensive line last year that wasn't really good, and I feel like they won a couple of games that they squeezed by as well. So
mhm,
yeah, man, this it's the NFL, and everything. Every team changes. It's on any given Sunday, and when you
yeah,
look at the schedule and where they got to fly to, and all the changes and bring in two new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, it's a
yeah.
lot. It's a lot. So
And don't get me wrong, like this, the Raiders are still the last team in the division until proven otherwise. Like it's just kind of how it goes. You see the same thing over and over and over again. Um, you got to kind of tell it how it is. So, but I do think it's going to be very obvious going into next season that this team is not the easy slot in at the bottom of the AFC West. Like I think going into next season, could be talking about this. Yeah, could be talking about this team as a contender for the top of the AFC West. So, but yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I'm not working on nothing, but yeah, I appreciate all the people who followed me after last show. Follow me, I'll follow you back. So,
right on, go show my
appreciate
man
it.
some love. Go show my man some love.
Yeah,
Um,
at Churchill AtoZ on Twitter.
Yep. Make sure you show them some love, follow up. But yeah, man, I appreciate you. It's always always a blast having you on. Maybe next time you stay a little longer. No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
I
but
So we had, just like a little background. We had scheduled this, and then my wife was like, "Oh, remember we're supposed to go see Toy Story 5 with the kids." So
oh well, man,
yeah,
it's Father's Day was
got,
yesterday, man. Take
yeah,
your
got to do
kids
that. Got
out,
to do that.
get
And I'm
out
kind of
here.
excited.
I already
Toy
kept you
Story
7 minutes too long, man.
Toy Story 5 is I've heard it's pretty sad, and it's the last of the
Ah,
bunch.
so you
So
have to take the kids to a sad movie that
yeah,
might
yeah,
ruin them for life, bro. You might want to pick a better one. I'm
yeah.
just
But
saying.
no, I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody in the chat, man.
Yeah, man. Happy Father's Day to you. Take the kids
Yeah,
out. Have
you
a
you
blast.
too, bro.
Appreciate you coming on. As always, much love, my brother.
Yep.
Peace. All right, yo. So get to this chat. It's just us. Yeah, McDaniel, that'd be funny, bro. That'd be absolutely funny. You never know. You never know, man. We never know. But yeah, shout out to my guy coming on when he got his family, to take to the movie. We kept him 7 minutes too long. So appreciate getting the 30 minutes that we got. Um, and we'll still break down, man. We'll still break it down, right? The AFC. But let me get y'all's opinion. What do y'all feel? I know somebody said that's a crazy hot take and you can't expect people to respect you, but you know what? Everybody started out with hot takes, right? If you look at Ian Rappaport, if you look at all these guys that are reporters that started out, how did their career start? They made a hot take and it hit, right? They were right, and you blow up. So, if you never try, you fail, my brother. So, please don't hate on anybody's takes, right? It's just somebody giving their opinion. But I appreciate everybody in the building. We got to beat the chokers in SoFi before we say anything. Yeah, yeah. It starts out with respect, and Clint Kubiak has been preaching, you know, take care of home first, right? Home first. That he's a big believer and advocate is you win games at home, right? The more games you win at home, the more your fan base gets involved, right? And yes, you got to win games on the road, but take care of your house. And we haven't been able to do that with consistency in a long time, right? And then the other thing is you win games in your house and you get the seats to turn silver and black, not red, not blue and white, right? Not horrible orange and blue. Let's just say, right? You get the seats and the fans to be silver and black. So it all starts with SoFi. I believe this whole season, starts and maybe ends with the Chargers, right? If you beat the Chargers at home, it only takes one game to go on a run. It only takes, maybe two games if you're the Raiders, because we won last year and it didn't help the rest of the season. But it usually only takes one game, right? Great show, gentlemen. Just as always, pretty good takes, Rebel. Always with the content. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you pulling up. Did I put that up there? I don't know. I see the Raiders coming in fourth. Sadly, it's a building process. That's fine. That's fine. And a lot of people believe that, right? It's a building process. But sometimes those building processes come together a lot faster than people aren't expecting. I mean, it's happened around the NFL multiple times, right? The last team in the NFL until proven otherwise. Number one overall pick for a season, for a reason. Yeah, yeah. The Patriots also had the third overall pick 2 years ago for a reason. Where did they end up last year with a new coach and a new offensive coordinator? Just saying, man. Just saying. It happens. It happens. Why not us? And I'm gonna keep saying that all year long, right? All season long. Why not us? It's been 43 damn years since we won anything. It's been 20 years, it's been 5 years since we made it to a playoff game, but it's been 24 years since we won a damn playoff game. Something's got to flip, man. Something's got to flip. You can't stay at the bottom forever, right? You got to go up. And I feel like we're going up, and maybe it is slowly, but maybe it's not, right? Maybe it's not. Rebel, do your shirt have Gino and Pete on it? Yeah, man. It has Gino and Pete on it. It says Gino. Gino. So, yes, it does. Lawrence in the building. What's good, my guy? Candy Angel, what's good? I see you. Dakota Miller, say that. Toy Story 5. Yes. Well, oh, yeah. Answering the question. Yeah, they made another one. Chef in the building. What else we got? I'm working from home today. Nice. Nice. Working from home is always nice. I love working from home. But unfortunately, in my job, it's not home. It's outside in the heat. I'm all for takes, but overtaking a team with back-to-back 11-6 records when you were the worst team. A hot take is finishing 500. That might be a hot take as well. But it might not last long. Might not last long. We don't know. We do not know, right? Everything happens. We don't know injuries. Like he said, you don't know if Justin Herbert could stay healthy for a whole entire season, right? He was injured in camp last year. He had the wrist or the hand or the finger or whatever he had, last year, and he played through it, right? Is this offensive line going to hold up? He does try to run the ball a little bit more the last 2 years. Is that going to be a problem, right? Injuries happen in the NFL, and we don't know which team is going to happen to or what players we happen to. We hope it don't happen to any team or any players, but it's a thing in the NFL. And it's been a thing with the Chargers for a long, long time. They've been injury prone for a long time. And yes, they still won games, but they also still won games because two of their wins were a given playing the Raiders. I don't think it's a given this year, right? Two of those wins for the Broncos was a given. They played the Raiders. I don't think it's a given this year. And same could be said for the Chiefs. Those are two games that could make or break whether they make the playoffs or not. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they were 11-6, but the AFC was stacked, right? So if you lose two games to the Raiders, now you're not in 11-6, right? Now you're 9-7. There's a big difference, or 9-5, or whatever the hell it is. 9-6, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, 9-6. So just saying, just saying. 7 wins is last in the division. 7 wins would be last in the division. But is it? The Chiefs only won 6 games last year. Is 7 wins really last in the division? Could there be another team like the Chiefs that, injury bug keeps them from only winning 7 games, 6 games, right? Because we could sit here and act like, or project what this team and what every team's going to be, but we don't know. We don't know that this team is not going to come out and win 4 games in a row, right? What happens if the Raiders come out and win 4 games in a row and they get a little bit of momentum, right? There's nobody that can say that can't happen. Nobody, no matter who you are. Not even Jesus can predict that who's gonna win. So, sorry I'm late. Been busy with work today. It's all good. It's all good. Do your thing. I appreciate you coming whenever you show up. I'm getting old, my brother. I can't keep up anymore. Don't say that, Keena. Don't say that. Don't say that. Age is a state of mind, my brother, and you are never too old to do anything you want. So you can keep up just fine. Maybe put down them cigarettes, Jack Kenna. I got to do the same, bro. I got to do the same. I'm working on it. I cut down an awful, awful lot. Oh, what else we got? Mendoza is third on the depth chart. Cousin can't win the bowl. It's all love, but Raiders fans, Cowboys fans don't want to start acting like them. What? Oh, come on. That's fucked up, bro. Now you're going too far. Now you're calling me a Cowboys fan and shit. I'm not taking shots at you or saying anything about your takes, bro. So, why do we got to change it up and take shots at people, bro? I'm not a cowboy. I'm not acting like a cowboy. I do live in the country, so maybe I could be a cowboy. I got cowboy boots. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. You could throw shade if you want. You keep throwing shade. It's cool. Shout out to the $5 holler. That's somebody that doesn't show shade. They want to throw light on the show. So appreciate you for throwing light on the show. Raiders. I'll go back and watch the beginning to this live later when it's over. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, my brother. And appreciate you support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Rebels time is coming, nation. Raiders time is coming. Rebels time is coming too. Um, it's coming. It's coming. It's definitely coming. That's what she said. What's at Bailey Smith? What? I don't know. Oh, Bailey Smith. I see you. What's up, Bailey Smith? What else we got? Black and mild. McDaniels is disliked in LA. Too much swagoo for hardball culture. They're gonna suck. Okay. All right. All right. Preach that truth. See, now we got some people talking some little bit of truth, right? That's a hot take too. You gonna bark at them? I'm just saying. Just saying. Are you in LA? Because if Mick, I get that 100%. McDaniels does not fit that culture, right? He's more of a East Coast Miami dude. Those skinny jeans and that shit might not work in LA. Fans might not jump on board with that. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that's a good take, man. Appreciate you. Um, I'm right with you, Black. Right around 6 or 7 wins. Maybe a squirrel gets a nut. Games you never know. Facts. You never know. You never know. Any game could go any way at any time, right? It only takes one interception to turn a game around. If you don't believe me, go ask Gardner Minshew when we were just about, doing our thing with the Broncos, holding in there, right? About to go up, with a big score, make it 13-3. And just like that, it's 10-3 the other way. All right, we're about to make it 10-3. It's 10-3 the other way. Interception on the goal line. That game ended up 34-10. Just takes one play, bro. One play. One play can change the whole trajectory of a game. One injury can change the whole outlook of a season. You don't believe me? Ask the Raiders with Max Crosby, with Colton Miller, with JPJ, right? One injury could ruin the whole thing. And we ain't pushing that on anybody, but it happens in the NFL. Raiders. Furpo in the building. Bailey Smith, what's good? What's good? Faded Raider with the $2 smacker rizzle. Appreciate you, my nizzle. Let's go, Raiders. All right, I'm trying to get through all these chats so I could talk. Appreciate everybody in the building. Shout out to the 16 people in the building. If you're on X, Kick, Facebook, or the other TikTok, hop over here to the YouTube channel. Show some love. Subscribe to the channel if you're picking up what I'm putting down. I appreciate all 20 of y'all watching, no matter where you are. Let me know where you are. Let me know in the chat where y'all watching from. Are you on Kick? Are you on Twitter? Are you on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok? Let me know. Let me know. Reread what I said. No shots thrown. You said don't act like a Cowboys fan. That's a shot. It's a big shot. It has happened one time in the last 10 years, but okay. What has happened one time in the last 10 years? What? What has happened one time in the last 10 years? Let me know. Raider Fan Nation against the world. We rated Nation against the world. I can't read today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, shots at Cowboys fans thrown. Yeah. What else we got? Jack Kenner in the building. That's disrespect. East Coast ninjas don't wear skinny jeans. Watch your mouth. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They wear them with their ass hanging out, bro. I've been on the East Coast. Don't even try that. Don't even try that. What you mean, bro? You got skinny jeans with your ass hanging out, and they can't even walk. They got walk with their legs out like this, like a damn duck. What you mean, bro? Stop playing with that. Stop playing. LOL, Lackey Tassie, get some run, bro. If Lackey Tassie is half of what we need him to be, he that makes our team 100% better right off the jump. If we got a 370 something pound man in the middle that's 6'8", you ain't throwing over the middle. Just put your hands up. Put your hands up, right? That's all you gotta do. Get a little bit of push, put your hands up, and he's big enough where you're gonna take up. I mean, shit, you could probably take up the whole A gap. All you gotta do is push the center backwards, and that gap collapses. Right? It becomes one giant hole. So yeah, I would love to see Lackey Tassie, get some burn. And I think with Travis Smith, with guys like Rob Leonard in the building, this man's going to develop very quickly, right? He's 22 years old. He's smart. He's young. He's physical. How to push forward, right? You played rugby. It's all about going forward. They don't go back in that sport. So get to the quarterback. You got one job to do. Just push the center into the quarterback. That's all we need you to do every play. Because if you do that, that leaves Malcolm Kuntz and Max Crosby on the edge, and Kwity Paye and Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean. And that's a nightmare for opposing offenses. I don't care who your quarterback or running back is or your coach. Sacramento, California, 916 all day. Let's go, Jack Kenna. Rebel, anyone else coming to Houston? No, I don't know. I don't know anybody yet. My guy Steve in the building, repping the Fighting Irish. Salute to you, my brother. Jason Ruiz, what it do? James Furpo is in a 209. Okay. I see you, James Furpo. Seattle did it in 1 year. Seattle did it in 1 year. Jacksonville did it in 1 year. The Washington Commanders did it in 1 year. The Patriots did it in 1 year, right? There's many teams that have flipped in 1 year. Why not us? Why not us? And if I look back at all those teams and what they did, bro, a lot of those teams didn't have a Brock Bowers or an Ashton Genty or a Max Crosby. They had decent players at their positions, but they weren't Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, or Max Crosby, right? They didn't have a Tyler Lindenbaum first round pick playing center. They didn't have a 38-year-old veteran first round pick in Colton Miller, right? A lot of these teams, find me somebody in the chat, mod somebody, please find me. Bush Raider, I know you got this. Find me how many teams in the NFL have 2 first-round picks on them. 2 first-round picks on their offensive line. How many teams in the NFL? I know the Raiders are one. Bush Raider in the building. What's good, my brother? Gotta get you on one of these times. West side, don't forget the love for the east side. Oh, God, no, I can't read today, bro. I gotta slow down reading. All right, West side, don't got no love for the east siders. Yeah, we know that. East Coast is the capital of skinny jeans. I stand on that. Thank you, Fambo. Thank you. Mr. Lawrence over here telling me, watch my mouth. They don't ninjas don't rock skinny jeans. Come on, bro. What East Coast you in? Let me know in the chat where you pop that link. I live in Longview, Washington, 360, but from the 408. Okay, San Jose. I feel you. I feel you. Ryan, my son is from San Jose State University at the moment. Shout out to Jack Kenna and your son. Does he play football? Does he play any kind of sports? What's he doing over there, Kenna? I've been on the East Coast my whole life. Trust me, we don't wear skinny jeans. You might not wear skinny jeans, but you might not go outside a lot because all them young bucks out there definitely got skinny jeans, you know, strapped before their ass, and the bottom of the jeans come down to the knees. Like, come on, man. I don't know where you at outside of the East Coast, bro, but I was there for 3 years, and that's all I seen everywhere I went, whether it was Tampa, whether it was in Florida, whether it was Orlando, right, whether it was Sarasota, no matter where we was at, everybody was rocking skinny jeans. Everybody. Rams did it in 1 year with Stafford, right? The Rams did it in 1 year. The Bucks did it in 1 year with Brady. Preach, Raider Paul. Preach, Raider Paul. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, this is only one time. It's only happened one time. Come on, man. It happened one time. It happens all the time, bro. Google says 11 teams in the NFL. All right, so 11, bro. 11. That's not even a quarter. Yeah, almost, but it's not. it's okay, a half away, but still 11 teams. Only 11 teams in the NFL have two first rounders on their offensive line. That means something. That says something. When one of them is the center that's calling plays, that's taking up the middle of the field, and that's supposed to be the most dominant run center, and some say in many years, right? That means something to me. That means something to me. And a lot of people say the offensive line, we go as the offensive line goes, right? We have 2 first-round picks on your offensive line. That one's a 25-year-old vet. Come on, man. Like, come on. The dude's going on his 4th year, right? Because they didn't re-sign his contract, or 5th year because he was a first round. So come on, man. You got a 25-year-old vet in the building, first-round pick next to Colton Miller. You don't think this offensive line is going to do something? Rebel, 19 teams have 2 first-round picks on their lines. I thought you said 11. Now it's 19. I got the Raiders going 10-7 or 9-8. All those are daunting tasks, but it's not a non-reality that they could win that many games. Like I said, it only takes confidence. It only takes one game to go out there and dominate, spank that ass, belts to ass, right? And then the team starts to believe more in what the coaches, what the coach is putting down. They start to believe more in the system. They start to believe more in each other. They start to believe and get confidence in the team. They start to focus on their 111 and not having to look over their shoulder and not trust the guy behind them, right? That's what changes franchises. That's what makes football teams good. Coaching. It's all about coaching, because if your leader is not a leader, nobody's going to follow, right? If your leader doesn't have something to show in his resume and his line of work, if he's not doing something in the building to show you that he's the alpha male in the building and he's the leader, nobody's going to buy in and follow. And if you don't have the locker room, you don't win games. But when teams and new coaches come in and they revamp the locker room and they change the culture instantly, teams win games. Look what they did with Antonio Pierce, right? A lot of the nation says Antonio Pierce is the worst Raiders coach of all time. I disagree. I mean, I can name a couple, but with the opportunity he had, right, with the say he had, we'll never know because he didn't get a lot of games. But what I do know is when Antonio Pierce took over midway in the season, right, the Raiders were what, 3-5, 3-6, right? Took over with a rookie fourth round pick. They went on a run. They ended up what 8-9. They were one game away from making the playoffs, or 2 games, I think, 2 games out, right? So it could happen. It could happen. If it can happen with Antonio Pierce, why can't the Raiders go on a run right off the season with the most money spent in free agency, with Brock Bowers, with Ashton Jeanty in his second year, actually having an offensive line coach that is going to scheme up lanes and open up lanes like trucks for this man to run through? And if you can't tackle the man, I mean, like he said, why not draft a guy you can't tackle, right? So when you have guys like Ashton Jeanty, when you have Max Crosby on a mission on the other side, and then you put guys around him, veterans like Eric Stokes, like Quay Walker, like Nakobe Dean, if he even plays this year, we don't know. Twitty Pay, so Sagan and Lobi, right? Defense wins ball games. The Raiders have stacked up on defense. They spend a lot of money, and they're counting on Kirk Cousins, AOC, or Mendoza, whoever it is, to go out there and not make mistakes, right? Not lose games for them. That's all we need, is our quarterback to not lose games, because in the past, our quarterback lost those games, right? Everybody talks about how bad the Raiders are and how bad the Raiders were, but were they really that bad? Bad teams don't hold the Broncos to 10 points and lose 7-10, right? Bad teams don't beat playoff teams, or come this close to beating playoff teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were on the rise when we played them. Bad teams don't hang against the Houston Texans, right? Bad teams get whooped and destroyed 0-31 by the Chiefs and the Eagles, right? But bad teams, horrible bad teams, don't compete against top teams in the NFL, right? They don't. Bad teams 2 years ago, right? Don't go in there with a fourth round pick and could have won the game if it wasn't for a botched snap, or if the coach Antonio Pierce would have just kicked the damn field goal instead of trying to get another yard or two, right? See, things like that happen. This team has been in games where we could win. This team has played games with bad coaching, with bad, not all the personnel. Now, I don't want to say bad personnel, but not the personnel we needed to win, right? So why can't this team turn it around? We're acting like this is just because our record was, 3 wins. I don't think we were a 3-win team, right? I don't think we're a 3-win team. I think quarterback play, when your quarterback throws 8 touchdowns to, 18 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, bro, nobody's winning like that. Nobody's winning like that. When your running back has to run the ball 20 times in the fourth quarter as a rookie in a game that you're losing, yeah, stats are going to look bad. Teams are going to look bad. So there's plenty of teams that turn it around, and it only takes one win. It only takes team to buy in to what they're putting, to what they're picking up and putting down. And, I said I was going to read this article, but there's a lot of talk, right? A lot of talk. So I put a post on X today, and I said, oh my God, it's hot in here. I put a post on X today, and that post was, if you could bring back any Raider, who would it be, right? If you could bring back any Raider right now, who would it be? Would it be Tim Brown? Would it be Bo Jackson? Would it be Charles Woodson? Would it be, would it be Jim Otto? Would it be Ronnie Lott? Would it be, whoever, Jack Tatum, whoever, right? Rich Gannon, who would you bring back? So, but that led me to think about something, right? Somebody made a post, the GOAT 209 made a post on X saying that Jim Plunkett wasn't a good quarterback, right? He won Super Bowls, but he wasn't a good quarterback. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. And there's a lot of people that disagree, that think Jim Plunkett should be in the quarterback because he has 2 Super Bowls. But let's break this down. Now, I was going to write this as an article and do a video on it. So if somebody wants to, go ahead and steal it, that's fine. I got the video halfway out. I'll put mine out afterwards. But in 1980, right? In 1980, Jim Plunkett had already been on the team for 2 years. Jim Plunkett was a guy drafted in the first round by the New England Patriots. He had some injuries, bounced around, went to another team, bounced around, right? The Raiders took a chance on him, brought him over. He sat for 2 years, right? Reminds you of anybody in the building? Sat for 2 years. Then they go out and, they get a new head coach, right? They bring in the first Latino head coach in the NFL, Tom Flores. So Tom Flores in his first year, right? They need a quarterback. So the second year, they go out and sign Dan Pastrana, oh man, I don't want to butcher his name. But anyways, they go back and they trade for, they trade for a starting quarterback. Well, 5 games into the season, he fractures his leg. And who comes off the bench? It's Jim Plunkett that nobody in Raider Nation believed in. Nobody in New England believed in. Nobody in Minnesota believed in, right? It's this guy, Jim Plunkett, taking first overall that everybody said was a bust. But what happened? What happened that year? What happened that year? Somebody tell me in the chat what happened that year. Jim Plunkett came in and went on a 9-game run. A guy that nobody believed in the building. A former first overall pick that everybody had forgotten about. But you know what happened? He got with a head coach in Tom Flores that believed in him. He got with kind of like Aiden O'Connell anyway. But you got with a head coach that believes in you, that's seen your body of work and has faith that I could do something with this guy, right? So he got his opportunity. Later on, comes out, we're the only wild card team. Yes, wild card team made the playoffs. The only wild card team in history. Well, maybe not anymore, but to win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback, Jim Plunkett, right? So is Jim Plunkett a Hall of Famer? Y'all make that choice. But anyways, Jim Plunkett comes in, takes us to the playoffs, to a wild card. The Raiders win the Super Bowl with Jim Plunkett. 2 years later, he gets benched. They go out and they bring in Mark Wilson. Mark Wilson's supposed to be the guy, right? He, had a great year the year before. He's going to be the guy. Well, Mark Wilson wasn't the guy. And they have to put in Jim Plunkett. What happens? Jim Plunkett comes in again and takes the team to the Super Bowl. Two times with the guy that nobody expected to do it, right? With a team that nobody expected. They were 8-9 the year before. Nobody expected them to make the playoffs, right? The year before that, I think they only won 3 or 4 games. Nobody expected it, but that's what happened. That's Raider history. So you can bring in, you might have a guy in the building that might fit that scenario who's overlooked, and, there could be an injury and maybe he comes in, or, you never know. You never know. Anything can happen in the NFL on any given Sunday. And it only takes one turn of events. It only takes one spark. It only takes one coach to get everybody to believe in, right? Look what Madden did for this team when he took over. Look what Tom Flores did for this team when he took over. Look what John Gruden did his first year as never being a head coach did for this team when he took over, right? It wasn't great the first year, but people bought in. They believed. They had some close games. And then the next year, you see what happened. The next year, you see what happened. So it can happen, bro. It can happen. How long ago was that? I just said 1980. It was a long time ago, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. There's been similar things that happen, right? Let's look at this. Let's look at this as well. I guess I could have pulled it up on the computer as well. But I just saved this because somebody brought this to light. All right, yeah. So, right? Quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls because of injuries, right? Nick Foles comes in because a guy and Carson Wentz as a rookie comes in and takes this Washington team, right? Was it Washington? But comes in, takes a team that nobody thought was going to make it to the Super Bowl. He gets hurt. Who comes in? The backup, Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, right? Phil Simms, Super Bowl MVP, wasn't the greatest quarterback of all time, wasn't the greatest quarterback every single year, right? He was a quarterback that had the right system, the right players around him. One time made it to the Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer, right? Another guy you're not going to look at and be like, oh, he was a top 5 quarterback throughout his whole career. Was he? No. Trent Dilfer was not a top 5 quarterback. I don't think any time in his career. But what he was on a damn good Ravens team that had the best defense in the NFL, and you couldn't score points on. And all they had to do was make sure they managed the game, put some points on the board, let their defensive eat, won a Super Bowl, right? Brad Johnson. I think y'all already know that story. It happened with us. So if you're a Raider fan for a long time, you know the Brad Johnson story. But yeah, I know Brad Johnson wasn't better than Rich Gannon at any point in his career, I don't think, in my opinion. Now, maybe he could be. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So, trade Max now. Should have never let him come back. He's not a Raider. He's a fanboy. Ooh, ow. Okay. You got one of the biggest Max Crosby fans, still in here. I don't know, but you're probably gonna upset him talking about Max like that. But let me bring this up. Right? Um, you mentioned Max Crosby, right? Max Crosby. I just had a problem in silence to see what will happen. But Max Crosby. So top 10 pass rushers over the last 5 seasons, roughly 2021 to 2025 by total sacks per stat muse, right? Total sacks. This is in the last 5 seasons. Miles Garrett with 83, TJ Watt with 65. You see how big of a jump that is? Just off the rip. You see how big of a jump that is? That's a crazy jump. That's a that's a crazy jump. So 63 or 83 to 65 and a half. Micah Parsons. Yes, the Micah Parsons. The Micah Parsons, what, going in his third or fourth year? Fourth year. 65 sacks. Number 4 is Cincinnati Bengals, Trey Hendrickson. He's not a Bengal anymore. 61 sacks. Number 5 is Darnell Hunter from Houston with 60 sacks. Number 6 is Nick Bosa with 55 sacks. Number 7 is a guy that is the most disrespected defensive edge rusher in all of football, in my opinion, and maybe the most overlooked defensive end in all of football. But that guy is New York Giants, Brian Burns, 54, 54 and a half sacks. He is he is seventh on that list. And number 8 comes in at Max Crosby with 52 and a half sacks. So in the last 5 years, Brian Burns making less money than Max Crosby, Nick Bosa making less money than Max Crosby, Darnell Hunter was making less money than Max Crosby. Trey Henderson still making less money than Max Crosby. T.J. Watt, I think it's close, and Miles Garrett, who just started making more money than Max Crosby. Yeah, and out of those, how many teams have won the playoffs? So you have out of all those are the highest paid non-quarterback players in the NFL. I think the top 5 are. Out of those, they have one playoff win. Oh, Nick, yep, one playoff win. Josh Allen for Jacksonville. Oh, and TJ Watt. And TJ Watt. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that teams with their highest paid player on their roster being a defensive end don't win Super Bowls. They don't even make playoff games. It's just a fact. Rebel at Rebel, he is Rebel like you. What? Going to become a pilot. Oh, I got you. Appreciate it. You'll join the Coast Guard and wants to work in Cal Fire. Nice, nice. Hell yeah. Shout out to you, man. That's a smart young man. I see Zoom taking over left guard. You guys, that's rough, Kenna. That's rough because he could take over left guard, but if you're training him to be the backup center to Linderbaum, and I really feel like Linderbaum is a 3-year contract. I don't think he gets another contract. Honestly, if we win the playoff game, if we make it, deep in the playoffs, or if we win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, right? I don't think Linderbaum comes back. I think Trey Zune made it very clear in his very first interview. He said, I'm going to learn a lot from Tyler Linderbaum, being the backup center. And I think they heard that and it was like, wait. You can't say that. You can't tell everybody what the plan is, right? So I believe Trey Zune is playing every position. And I really feel that he's more beneficial as the 6th man, right? Because we don't have anybody on the roster that can play both guards positions, play center, and play both tackle positions. And if you have that as your 6th man, that allows you to be a little bit more free with your offensive line, roster wise, right? You could probably hold 8 instead of 9, and you can probably dress 7, right? If you could dress 7, that's a lot that you can do with your defensive line, with your receivers, right? With your running backs, or with your defensive backs, with your defensive line. It gives you a lot more leadway. So I feel like they want him for the next year or two to be that sixth man, right? To be that sixth man, that guy that's next man up if somebody else gets injured. But if he's the best guy out there, it's hard to keep him off the grass. Another way to look at the offensive line is only 2 teams have 2 former first round picks, a former second round pick, a third round pick. Um, when it's the Raiders and the Jets. Yeah, yeah, our offensive line. And if you look at Burford, wasn't Burford a first round pick as well? Hold on. Hold on. Where was Spencer Burford drafted? Oh, fourth round. I don't know why I thought first. Jack Kenna, I respect your opinion. That's how I feel about him. What? Oh, yeah, it's all good. We can agree to disagree in this chat. If you don't, then why are we here? Raiders, Miller, Linderbaum, JPJ, DJ Glaze, Jets, Olufashanu. Damn, we could have had him. Armand Mimbu. Damn, we could have had him. Damn, we could have had all those guys. Dylan Parham, we had him. we did had him already. And Joe, damn, their offensive line is nasty, bro. That's the Jets O line. Look, Geno Smith has absolutely no excuses whatsoever. Like, Geno has no excuses not to perform, bro. This dude, like, you got Olufashanu, you got Armand Mimbu, you got Josh Myers, Joe Tipman, and Dylan Parham. Come on, like, I know Dylan Parham got a lot of you know what, in Raider Nation, but good lord, bro. He played pretty damn well, and he was on bad coached offensive lines, right? Bad coached offensive lines. So, damn, that looks pretty nice. At Jack Kennedy, Brieford is the favorite at left guard, possibly Jordan Meredith. I could see Zune possibly being a future starter, though. Also, I'm not sold on JPJ. He may not pan out. Yeah, not really a hot take. There's a lot, there's a lot to that, but I'm gonna give my hot take. Spencer Burford does not start at left guard. I said it. Spencer Burford does not start at left guard. Now, I know they brought him over here to possibly be the starter, but the man's a 4th round pick. Let's be honest with yourselves, right? He's not better than JPJ. JPJ's ceiling is way better than Spencer Burford. I don't care what anybody says. He was on a 49ers team that had great depth, and he couldn't start there, right? He couldn't consistently start there. He was a backup piece, right? He was brought over because he knows the system, because he knows Clint Kubiak. But when the pads come on, Burford is going to show against this defensive line when you're going up against guys like Jonah Laulu and Max Crosby and Twitty Pay, is going to show exactly why I believe he's not the starter. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't feel like Burford is the guy. I think they got him at the guy right now. But I think when the pads come on, and the bullets start flying in preseason, we're going to see Spencer Burford slip to the back. Just my take, right? That's my opinion. I believe that Trey Zune is way more athletic, way more physical, way stronger, has better footwork, and is way better in pass protection. In run blocking than Burford. Burford struggles in pass pro, right? He's decent, in pass protection, but it's also, if you look at the guys that were around him, it's a lot different than the guys that are around him now, right? You got a guy that you don't know in Tyler Linderbaum being the center. You got a aging Colton Miller that hasn't been able to stay healthy throughout a full season, right? And that, to me, is a lot of questions for Spencer Burford. And Jesse Merrick said that, when he was watching watching the guys out there in practice, that Spencer Burford was the guy that stood out to him, right? The way he was pulling and all that. But that's, I mean, I don't know why you're pulling or anything like that when there's no pads on, right? There's no, so I mean, we'll see, we'll see. Right now, he's that guy and he's penciled in. But I feel when the pads come on, they're going to see the physicality of Jordan Meredith. They're going to see JPJ. They're going to see Charles Grant. They're going to see Caleb Rogers, and they're going to be like, okay, all right, yeah, this guy with the pads come on is way more physical, better footwork, a better athlete. And I believe Spencer Burford gets shoveled to the back. Rod Martin got 3 picks in the 80 Super Bowl. Should have been MVP, not Plunkett. That's a good point. That's a good point. Rod Martin did get 3 picks in that Super Bowl. Great man. Rest in peace, Rod Martin. That one hurt. That one hurt. I actually got to talk to him a couple times. Ken, I said Parham was on the Jets. I said 2 teams have 2 former first rounders, though. And that's us, man. That's us. Just been to Australia. The Kangaroos think you're gay. That's a good one. That's a good one. I wanted number 14. Man, I feel like everybody in the nation that doesn't, have Max Crosby in that situation wanted that number 14 pick for Crosby. I feel like that changed the whole board for the Las Vegas Raiders, right? As soon as he was brought back, I think that changed what they were trying to do. I really felt like they would have went out and got a receiver if they had that 14th pick, right? You could have, who was there? Wasn't I think both receivers were there by then, right? I don't know. I have to go back and look. But there was plenty of receivers on the board in first round. And I really, really feel like the Raiders are going to regret not listening to the nation that wanted him and not listening to me that wanted him. But man, there was a wide receiver on the board in Denzel Boston, and the man is doing nothing but being in every highlight, every media, from every pass that every quarterback makes over there in Cleveland, right? They are in love with Denzel Boston. And there's, a lot of talk about the other wide receiver that they drafted, Casey Concepcion, that, a lot of Raider Nation fans were in love with. But he seems to remind me of a little bit of a Dante Thornton. He cannot hold on to the football. It just seems to fall through the hands. I mean, perfect plays balls, right? Problems, but not Denzel Boston. And I really feel like the Raiders, if this wide receiver room is not what they believe it's going to be, and it's more of what the majority of Raider Nation feel like it's going to be, and that number 2 pick, I feel like the pressure that Ashton Genty had, and we're going to get to this in a second, and I'm going to get off here, but the pressure that Ashton Genty had on him being the number 6th overall pick, which was nothing of his doing, right? He could not choose where he's picked or, where the Raiders picked him. I feel like the Raiders tried to trade back. They had nobody that wanted to trade back, right? It wasn't a great high profile draft where teams are like, I have to move up to 6 to get this player, right? Because on their board, they probably had 4 or 5 players that were, pretty close to the same in value. And they could have been happy either way, right? There wasn't no tight end, or there wasn't no tackle. There wasn't no quarterback, right? There wasn't anybody that they felt like they had to move up for, and they couldn't trade back. So Ashton Genty gets a lot of hate because he was picked 6th overall. And, if he was picked 13th overall, I think most of the nation would be fine with it and they would get off his shoulders, right? But the fact that he can't control where he was picked, he's getting a lot of backlash of, where he's at and where he was picked. And what I'm getting at is I feel like not Trey Zoom, but Traden Stukes is in that same position, right? Because a lot of people in the nation feel this way about Traden Stukes. Why did they trade back? Why did they draft Traden Stukes in the 2nd round, right? They could have got him in the 3rd. A lot of people are saying, I don't think that's the case. I feel like a lot of people that I've talked to and messaged back and forth said, there were a lot of teams that would have taken him in the 1st if the draft fell different ways, right? If guys got picked different ways, but it's just so happened the way the draft fell, that there was a lot of players still on the board at certain times that weren't projected to be there, right? And sometimes that happens and players get pushed to the back. I mean, just look at some of the players and where they were drafted, right? Denzel Boston. I mean, come on. He should have been a first round pick. And I believe he's going to prove every day that he's out there that, 32 or whatever teams, 35 teams passed on him. But I feel like the pressure is on trading Stooks being that second round pick, that you have to start day one and you have to go out there and shine, because Raider Nation is going to go crazy. Not, it's never going to be good enough because of where you were picked. And I think that's a downfall for, you know, a lot of the way people look at this. Max Knee is busted. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. We don't know what Max Knee is. I said Parham was on the Jets, said 2 former first round picks. Yeah, I get that. Y'all can read that. Furpo in the building. Jack Kenna. What else we got? JP Jelly also has concussion concerns. Yes, penalty problems, and even being the 32 interior lineman among like 90 qualifying linemen across teams. Look, the JPJ thing is simple. It's simple, right? They've already told me, and if y'all don't, if y'all don't understand it, or can't comprehend or read between the lines of what they're trying to do over there in practice, in mini camps, and what they're going to continue to do throughout the season, it's discipline, bro. It's discipline. Clint Kubiak said from day one, when they asked him, what do you need in offensive linemen? What do you need in quarterbacks? What do you need in receivers? Smart players. Smart, right? That doesn't mean 14 penalties in 2 seasons, right? Smart. That doesn't mean jump off sides and pads and booty shorts and a helmet and not be and not have consequences for your actions. So JPJ getting pulled during the middle of practice, they stopped practice, they went to something else, and then they went back, and when it came back, it was Caleb Rogers. That's showing, that's showing this team that if you're the guy hurting this team, if you're not on your game, if you don't know you're 111, that you're not going to be out there. So I feel like they're just going to make JPJ better. And if JPJ, doesn't have the, the mindset or the mental capacity to take the coaching and take the pushing, then yes, he's going to fall to the back, right? But if he does, this could be great for him, because imagine, a JPJ with his chip on his shoulder with something to prove. Now, if he can do that and not, hurt the team by the physicality or the plays after the whistle, or, pushing guys completely to, to the sideline, to the bleachers and shit like that, then this dude will be just fine. But if he's not, then, that gives us good depth, that gives us whatever. But there is also, we have to realize that Jackson Powers Johnson, 2nd round pick, was also thrown into the fire. He never had time to develop, right? The offensive line was Luke Getsy, bro. Luke Getsy. That's who was, helping these guys. And I don't remember who the offensive line coach was. Was it Joe Philbin then? But anyways, JPJ's never had a chance to develop. He is way behind the 8 ball. He's further behind than Caleb Rogers. And let me tell you why, right? Let me tell you why. Because JPJ got hurt. He missed a lot of games. He couldn't practice, right? Those concussions, he couldn't be out there. Then he came, played a couple games. I don't know what the injury was his rookie year, but he missed a lot of games. Then last year, they move him from center over to guard. So now you got to learn a whole new position, whole new blocking techniques, a whole new stance, a whole new footwork, right? And you don't have a chance to develop again, because you're, not out there in camp all the time and they're trying to take it easy on you. And then you get hurt again early in the season and you miss the whole entire season. So you can't practice. You can't work on your footwork because you have an ankle injury. So Jackson Powers Johnson, I think, gets a lot of hate and, and a lot of talk because he's a 2nd round pick, and, where's he going to be? Is he going to be the starter? Is he not going to be the starter? But I feel like, maybe, just maybe, the Raiders organization feel like I feel, and they're like, okay, JPJ was a 2nd round pick, but he needs another year of development, right? Let's bring him along. Let's teach him the game from a guy like Rick Dennison, who's been there and done that and has helped many, many offensive lines go from from last in the division or last in the NFL to middle of the pack or better, right? So let's give him time. Let's give JPJ time. And I don't think it's a make or break season where if you listen to what I've said a million times, my biggest thing that Spytech says is develop guys, keep them in the building. You draft guys, you develop them, and you play them when they're ready, right? The Tampa Bay thing, 42 guys on their roster out of 53 men when Spytech was there were drafted by Tampa Bay. And I feel like that's what he's trying to do here. So you don't let guys like JPJ go. You don't trade him for, trade value unless you think that he doesn't fit your system and his ceiling isn't as high as people think. Maybe they feel like, damn, JPJ should be a center, but we already have a center and we have a center behind him in Trey Zune of the future. And then we have another center that should be a guard in Jordan Meredith. So, where does JPJ fit in? It might be that scenario. But to have JPJ as depth, I don't think that's a problem, right? I feel like he still needs to develop. The NFL is fast. It's, it's speed. And we've seen his footwork hasn't been great. We've seen him miss on his pads, right? I've done videos where the handwork, the hand placement, it's just, if you hit here, it's okay, right? But if you hit in your shoulders, you're pushing people back, right? And if you miss on that, then your guy's just going to keep coming forward, and then you're getting pushed back into your quarterback. So you got to give these guys time to develop. And I feel like JPJ has not had time to develop. He's missed a lot of football. That's a lot of practices you're missing. That's a lot of technique you're missing. That's a lot of fundamentals you're missing. And then you look at who was teaching those fundamentals. It might be a good thing that he missed all those, to be honest. I hope JPJ wins the job. I don't know too many penalties, but I like the physicality side. Yeah, I think that's what it is the mistakes. The mistakes are going to cost teams. And the one thing that Clint Kubiak said that sticks in my mind when he got here is smart players, right? Mistakes hurt teams. Mistakes and injuries. If you count on a guy to be your starting center and he plays 2 games, now you got to bring in a guy that didn't get all the reps with the number ones and hope that, he could become that guy who didn't get a lot of snaps, who didn't get a lot of reps, and you only get 14 padded practices in a season. It's hard to when you lose somebody, right? Unless that guy is a guy like Jordan Meredith who has played center and has played guard and left guard and right guard, right? A guy like JPJ, right? That's played center, left guard, and right guard, right? Those guys are valuable. And I don't think you just trade them because, you push them to the back. I think you trade them and develop them and give them a chance to maybe be that guy next year or, the year after. You got plenty of time. These kids are young. That's the Jack Kenna, that's the Jack Kenna, that's the Jack Kenna, that's the Bush. I really don't care what y'all saying together. We should have taken Elijah Surratt. We would have had instant chemistry with Mendoza, and we had multiple chances to get him. Yeah, that's a fact, and that could be true as well. But maybe, just maybe, they felt like it's starting to come down to that maybe Mendoza doesn't play this year. Maybe they drafted Mendoza knowing he was not ready. Right? They can do that. It can happen. There is a world that people live in where you can draft a guy and have very high potential of this guy, very high potential, but he might not be ready. You might have to develop him a little bit. You might want to mold him into what you want him to be, right? Not what other coaches made him, and break his bad habits and, turn him into good. That takes time. So maybe there's just a world where Mendoza doesn't play this year, right? And maybe why get Elijah Surratt and, have him be on the practice squad or, not make the practice squad and not make the team, right? Because we have a lot of guys that are questionable about separation. Elijah Surratt coming out of college was very, very questionable about creating separation, about being able to run those crisp routes and having the speed to separate, right? I think we got a lot of those guys in the building. So would it have been nice to have Elijah Surratt? Yes, if you're playing Mendoza year 1. But if you're not, then having a guy like EJ Williams on the practice squad for a season, if he doesn't get snatched up, right? Developing, working with Mendoza all year long as he's the emergency quarterback and AOC is number 2, right? Could be. And they also They also like my guy Corey Rucker, right, out of Arkansas State, because they put him on the injured reserve list, which means that tells me that they have some kind of plans for this young man in the future, whether it, be on the practice squad like Dalton Wagner for 3 years, or whether it be getting in the game and playing right away. Shout out to Faded Raider for the $5 smacker rizzle. Appreciate you. Do you think Fernando will start any games? And if so, what games do you think? And if so, what game you think he will start by? I gotta read these slower. Um, it just depends on how the year goes. It just depends on how the year goes, right? If we get into training camp and Mendoza looks like Aiden O'Connell, and not comparison, just stop with the freak out. If he looks like, okay, I won't use that. If he comes in and kills it in preseason and looks like a guy that, damn, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows where he's going with the football. He's decisive at the line of scrimmage. He knows how to change plays, right? He knows how to move guys around and put them in position to beat the defense. But you have to be able to know what the defensive sets are. And, that could be a scenario. But there could also be that scenario, like we've talked about a million times, that Tom Brady says no. No, I don't care how good he is. I don't care if he's the best quarterback. We told everybody this is a rebuild for a reason, right? They made John Spytek come out and apologize for getting rid of guys like Trayvon Morig, right? He said, I made a mistake this year. I let guys go in the building that I shouldn't have let guys go. And now we have to replace those guys. And I feel like he's done a good job of that. So he also came out and said, this is a rebuild. This is a rebuild. But some people take that rebuild word too drastically and feel like, okay, it's a rebuild. They're going to be ready in 5 years. They're going to be ready in 3 years. A rebuild just means you're getting rid of all the players in the building that you don't want, that aren't producing, and you're bringing in new guys to fill that role. It could take 6 months. It could take 1 season. It could take a half a season. It could take 3 years. It could take 5 years. Well, by 5 years, if it takes that long, then everybody's fired and nobody's got a job. But 3 years is the limit, right? 3 years is the limit. They want to be a winning team consistently, not come in and win a Super Bowl and then fall off the map and never be seen again, right? They want to be a team that comes in, makes the playoffs, has a chance to compete for a Super Bowl every single year, like the Chiefs have done, like the Eagles have done, right? Like the Bills have done, like the Ravens have done. These teams that are consistent. That's the game plan. That's the game plan. And it can happen overnight, or it can happen 2 years from now. We don't know. So do I feel like Mendoza starts a game? Again, it all comes down to, the season. Does Kirk Cousins make it through the season? Does he have a hiccup with, whatever? I don't want to say what, because I'm not trying to jinx nobody, right? If he does have some kind of hiccup and goes down, who's next up, right? Is it Mendoza? Is it Aiden O'Connell? Is it Jacob Clark, right? Who's that guy? So it all depends on the scenario. But I feel like listening to Derek Carr and David Carr yesterday, I think they pretty much summed it up. Fernando's not playing this year unless something crazy happens, right? I just don't see a scenario where they put him out there. If we're winning, how do you put him out there, right? How do you take a winning quarterback out and ruin the chemistry with the team when they're all vibing? Obviously, if you're winning, you're vibing, right? So how do you take that vibe away? I don't see a scenario where you do that, right? And then if you're losing for a reason, because this team is as good as you thought it was, or because your starting quarterback got hurt and maybe this team is good. Do you really rush the rookie out there if he's not ready? Say it happens in week 4 or week 5 or week 7, right? Do you really rush the kid out there if he's not ready? So it all comes down on scenarios of the season, whether he plays or not. But I strongly feel that the Raiders don't plan on playing him this year. I'm really getting that feeling, right? If you listen to David Carr and Derek Carr, they did a FanDuel thing, and the odds were Fernando Mendoza over or under 2,350 yards, over or under. Let me know in the comments. Do you have Fernando Mendoza over or under 2,350 yards? That's around Aiden O'Connell stats, only playing 10 games. Does he have higher or lower? You let me know. Let me know. But David Carr's answer, I'll get to that. Yo, bro, no one cares. Then why are you here? You stop talking. No one's listening. There's 20 people in here, bro. Nobody's listening. You're here listening and commenting. So, adios, muchachos. Chachos, chachos, chachos. I hope Aiden gets a chance to at least start to show his talent. We'll see, man. We'll see. Pinna's family, thanks everyone for the kind words. Husband, grandfather, multiple family members um, have reached out to you and love everyone. Nice, nice. Yeah. Shout out to you, man. Tomorrow, what's good? What's good, my brother? Shout out to Jack Kenna for keeping everybody tight and in close with the Robert Pinna tragedy. It's a truly loss for the nation. Um, you got under, lower. All right, so David Carr says he got on the phone, right? He got on the phone with Mike Sullivan because he has a relationship with Mike Sullivan. So he got a little on the phone with Mike Sullivan and they talked a little bit about Fernando Mendoza, where Fernando Mendoza's at, how they feel Mendoza's coming along, you know, what the plan is. And he only said one thing, but he didn't say exactly what he said. He just said Derek Carr read something that somebody else had wrote about Mendoza, or that Clint Kubiak had said about Mendoza, and that Andrew Janoko said about Mendoza, and David Carr said that's about what he said to me. But then when he asked him his over and under, his first comment was, "That's a lot to do in one game." And then he was like, so go back and listen to it, right? He said, that's a lot to do, I think, in one game. He's like, oh, well, how many games do you think he's going to play? 4 or 5? So I don't know if he let it slip or, he's just trying to be funny. Sounded like to me from what he was talking on the phone and what he heard is it's going to be the Kirk Cousins show. It's Kirk Cousins' job to lose. It's Kirk Cousins' job. So we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see. But like I said, if you're winning, it's hard to take him out, bro. And if you're losing, what is the reason you're losing? Are you losing because you had injuries on your offensive line? Are you losing because your receiving core can't create separation and doesn't have the speed? Are you losing because your defense is constantly on the field because your offense is going, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out? What is the reason you're losing? I think that all has to do with whether Mendoza plays or not. And I know people are going to be angry and I know people are going to be happy and I know people are going to be ecstatic, right? If he plays, I know people are going to be both ways if he doesn't. But I feel like if the Raiders believe he's ready and he gives us the best chance to win, he's your guy. Now, I also feel cold-heartedly that he doesn't give us the best chance to win right now. And I know people are going to take that, the wrong way and some might not ever come back. But that's fine. That's fine. I stand on my business. Go back and watch my other videos. He doesn't give us the best chance to win right now. He's got a lot to learn. A lot to learn. The footwork, the timing, the rhythm, the anticipation, the pre-snap reads, the decisiveness, knowing where you're going with the football, knowing how to change arm directions, right? You can't always throw with the same. Sometimes you're going to have to, get that sidearm out or you don't have to do no behind the back or nothing like Patty Mahomes, but sometimes you have to throw from different arm angles. I've seen them working on that. If you go back and watch some of the videos that my guy Mike Dixon, shout out to Mike Dixon, some of the guys that Vegas Sports over there has put out and others as well. You go back and look at him, right? Look at his throws. He's throwing from different angles, right? He's rolling out and throwing on the run. So there's a lot to work on, man. There's a lot to work on. A lot of people think you could just come in, blue 52, silver, and throw the ball, right? It's not it. That's not it. You have to know disguises on defense. You have to know who the mic is, right? You have to know how to figure out who the mic is or who they're disguising as the mic is, right? There's a lot to go into it. You have to know that when you come to the line with the play in your mind and you look at that defense and you're like, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. They know exactly what we're running, right? You got to know how to change out of it. But not only know how to change out of it, what do you change out of it? Do you just switch into a running play and teams start to catch on that, damn, every time this kid doesn't know, if this play is right for the defense, he switches to a running play. Teams will catch on from that, right? So you got to know the playbook. You got to know what plays on your offense beats defenses, right? What's the best play to run against a cover 2? What's the best play to run against a cover 3? What's the best play to run against a disguise cover 2 and a disguise cover 3? Maybe they're playing cover 3 over here and and man press over here, right? What's the play to run, right? Maybe they're running cover 4. You don't know. Maybe they're running a single high, right? You got to know all those plays and what plays in your little wristband beats those. And that takes time. That takes time, whether you're number 1 or not. So with that being said, do you believe it was a fail to draft Fernando Mendoza number 1 overall if he doesn't play a single snap this year? Let me know in the comments. 20 people in here. Come on. I expect at least 7 answers. At least 7. At least. Was it a bad idea to take a quarterback number 1 overall if you don't plan on playing him at all this season? I got 2 answers to that. Raiders need Stefon Diggs and Deebo Samuels. A 32-year-old and a 30-year-old with injury history that can't stay healthy, and Diggs that wants to beat up people off the field and smack fans in the face. I don't think we need that in Raider Nation. Would he help? Yes. Does he fit the culture? I don't know. Would he work well with the Clint Kubiak? I don't know. I think Diggs is got that kind of attitude that the Raiders and Spy Tech aren't trying to bring those guys in the building, right? They're not trying to bring that kind of culture to this building. So we'll see. Deebo, would be okay, but if the receivers after preseason aren't what we think they are, then go out and bring somebody in. If you feel like that is our, whatever, that is our one need that is going to get us over the hump, or that's the one thing we need to compete, I'm fine with that. But I would rather it be a guy like I wouldn't rather it be anybody. I want to see what we have in these receivers, man. Let these young guys play. Let's see what we got, right? Let's see what we got. Let's see where we need to develop. If we got guys that can play the slot, if we got guys that can play the outside, right? If you got guys that can play out of the backfield and block, you're not going to learn all that in 3 preseason games and 2 gimme games. It's going to take a season. He's not got experience, bad, good games to learn, and he goes through the year. Appreciate that. Hell no to Diggs. Deebo, sure. Okay. Deebo, Diggs, and Bowers. I mean, it sounds better on paper, right? It does sound way better than what we have. And if you look at a lot of the offensive receiving cores in the NFL, I mean, just Dallas to start off, right? You got Dallas, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got George Pickens. I mean, that's Prescott's loving it, right? And then you go over to the Bengals, and you got Lee Higgins, and you got I hate when my mind just goes to shit. Yeah, y'all know who I'm talking about. I don't even know, but yeah. So looking at on paper, man, we definitely could use one of those receivers, but you also have to realize that JSN was not that guy that he was last year, the year before, right? A little somewhere around 700 yards with Seattle. Look what Clint Kubiak did for JSN, and why can't he do that for Trey Tucker? Why can't he do that for Jalen Naylor? Why can't he do that for Jack Bech? Why can't he do that for Brock Bowers? Right? If you look at what Bobo, whatever the hell his name is, did over there, right? If you look at what why can't I think of anybody's name? The damn tight end over there did in Seattle, right? Cooper Kupp. Good Lord, I don't know what's going on today. I need to take some brain medicine or something. But if you look at Cooper Kupp and how he was used over there, man, you could use Jack Bech like that. You could use Michael Mayer like that. You can use Brock Bowers like that, right? There's weapons. There's weapons. They're just not big name known weapons, and everybody thinks, oh well, you don't have a receiving core because I don't know the name on the back of your jersey. Sometimes it works like that in the NFL, but sometimes, just sometimes, you might get that coach that comes in, knows how to use leverage right against the defense, knows how to use guys as decoys, right? Knows how to get guys open, play guys open, scheme guys open. Makes a big difference. Salute Raider Nation. Hope we could turn things around this year. I hope so too. I hope so too. But we don't have to turn it around this year, right? We got plenty of time. According to everybody, right? We can win in 2029. Shit. But we have the pieces now. We have the pieces now. We have the pieces now. You know what Brock Bowers in 2029 is going to be? He's going to be 2 years older. He's going to be on his contract year, right? Ashton Genty, 2009 is going to be 3 years older. 3 years older. I'm thinking 2, right? The running back life expectancy in the NFL, I thought was 5 years. I was corrected by Turf yesterday. It is 3 years. So that's the end of his life expectancy, for the 6th overall bust. You got players that you have to use now, right? You have to use now. Trey Tucker. I mean, how long is a 5'8" receiver going to make it in the NFL, taking shots over the middle or being that X guy on the outside, right? Not very long. So we have the pieces, man. We have the pieces. You just got to put them together. And if we don't do it really, really fast this year or next year, then a lot of those pieces are going to start to dwindle away, right? We have a bunch of guys on 1-year deals that we need to get everything out of them this year that we paid them to help this team turn it around. And I feel like we can. Depending on the O-line, if they are good, he starts. Otherwise, sit him. You talk about Mendoza, but I don't think that's it though, right? I don't think it just comes down to the offensive line can protect him. Like we're not. I don't know. I don't think we're all on the same page here. Actually, I know we're not all on the same page here. Like Mendoza's success does not come down to just the offensive line. Mendoza's success comes to his mindset, his mentality. How does he take sitting on the bench? How does he take learning and not being that guy, right? How does he take all these things that he hasn't had to deal with in college at all? He's been the guy at Cal. He's been the guy at Indiana, right? These are a lot of things to learn. Also, you have to learn the timing. You have to learn the rhythm of the play, right? Is it a 3-step drop? Is it a 5-step drop? Is it a 7-step drop? Are you taking 5 steps and rolling out? Are you taking 3 steps and rolling out? Are you rolling out to the left? Are you rolling out to the right? Which one's your strong suit, right? There's so many things. And like Fernando said, it's coming at him like a fire hose. To me, that was a statement that tells me I'm overloaded right now. Like there's so much information, like it's just coming from everywhere. You have to decipher it and you have to take baby steps. And yes, there's a lot of quarterbacks that come out and play day one. But how long does their NFL career last? How long are they great, right? Joe Burrow came out, played day one, made it to the Super Bowl his second year. They haven't been back in the playoffs since. The kid can't stay healthy. The team doesn't have the team around him, right? They can score. He can throw for 5,000 yards, but they don't have a defense. They have a defense that gives up 6,000 yards. It doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. So I don't think it's all O-line. Like the O-line could come out and be great. But if the O-line is great and you have protection and you have receivers that can't create separation, receivers that don't have the route tree to get open, that doesn't do any good for Mendoza. That means he's going to be running for his life because he's thinking, all right, I got 3 seconds and this guy's going to be cutting over the middle, throw the ball. Well, if you throw the ball and that guy is slow on his route, that's an interception, right? So there's a lot you have to learn than just the offensive line being good. You have to have the defense for one. I think the biggest thing besides the offensive line for a young quarterback is a defense, because the more opportunities your quarterback gets, the better he's going to be. So yes, he's got to be out there and learning under the fire, but you can't put him out there if he's not understanding the speed of the game or the speed of the players, or the speed of the defensive line or the backs or the safeties, right? You might think, okay, I'm going to throw this guy open, I'm going to lead it. And then the guy turns on the jets and, ends up in front of your receiver and it's an interception for a touchdown, right? How is Mendoza going to react in those situations? And then again, go back and watch some of the films, right? There's one play on the 10-yard line. Maybe it was 15 or 20-yard line, but it's in the red zone, right? And this is one-on-ones. Mendoza is supposed to throw a little fade route to the back of the end zone. He threw that shit so high over the defender, the dude jumped out of the building, and it was three of him higher. 20-yard play. Come on. Come on. Now, everybody's going to make mistakes, but when you're having erratic passes like that as a rookie, you can't have that in a game, right? You can't throw the ball three stories over somebody's head on a 10-yard corner route, right? It can't be done. So, man, a lot of work's got to be done. A lot of work. We drafted back in the second round, so I want to see what he's got. 100%. It's put up or shut up for him, right? He can't be a guy like Dekamarian Richardson that's been on the roster 3 years and hasn't got any burn and hasn't, taken that next step or even showed enough in practice that he deserves a chance, right? You can't be like, right, Jackson Powers Johnson taken in the second round that can't stay healthy and can't stay on the grass, right? Second round picks are, that's a lot of pressure. That's why I said Traden Stoops has a lot of pressure this year to be that guy day one. But I think he's up for it. So yeah, I want to see Jack Bech. We all know the coaching staff last year did not play him as much as he needed to. We all seen Tyler Lockett come in and take many snaps away from Jack Bech, away from Dante Thornton, away from Brock Bowers, away from Jacoby Myers, right? There was no reason they needed to bring in Tyler Lockett last year. There was no reason whatsoever. They were a losing team, a bad losing team, and you went out and got a flipping receiver to help Geno Smith. This is what I mean by Pete Carroll all last year did everything in his power to make Geno look great and didn't give a shit about the Las Vegas Raiders. He did not care about this team win record or losing record because he thought he had job security and he was coming back next year. He was more focused on Geno's success because he paid him $32 million, $71 million over 3 years to be the quarterback. And it was a failure, a big failure. So he couldn't eat it and say, okay, let's put in Kenny Pickett or let's put in Aiden O'Connell. No, you made your bed and you have to lie with it. You sold the organization and you sold the brasses to be and Tom Brady and Mark Davis and John Spytek. You sold them that you could win now with Geno Smith. And it was a drastic failure. So Jack Bech, man, Jack Bech has to play, bro. He has to play. Like Tyler Lockett was. I want to cry sometimes. Like justifying bringing in a guy like Tyler Lockett that was cut from the Tennessee Titans, one of the worst teams in the NFL. How do you justify that as a head coach with 40 plus years experience? It just didn't make sense. And you have a guy like Jack Bech that out of 29 targets, he caught 20 of them. And I believe like 14 of them or 13 of them were first downs. And a lot of them were 10 yards or more. And you just keep throwing to Tyler Lockett. Made no sense. And you bring in a guy like Alex Kappa, and you won't play Caleb Rogers. And you bring in a guy like Stone Forsythe from Seattle, and you won't play Charles Grant. And you bring in guys like Jamal Adams and Devin White, and you won't play Tommy Eichenberg, and you won't play Cody Lindenberg, and you will not give these guys any opportunity when we're getting beat 0-31. 0-31. So let's hope Jack Bech could get some burn. All that was a little bit of rant about how the players didn't play. Tonka Hemingway, JJ Pegues. I mean, God, our draft last year, I was super excited. I was like, this is a draft, bro. Finally, we got some players, right? We got some offensive linemen. We got some defensive linemen. I was super, super high on Tonka Hemingway with his size, under 300 pounds, strong, physical. we didn't see him. What, 5 games? Oh, he played in 9 games. That's right. Played in 9 games, but he had 5 sacks within 4 games. So Got to get these players on the field, man. Got to get these players. Let's beat the Niners this year. Yee yee. Uh, I would love that. I'm sure Raider Nation would love that. There would be nothing better than to go back to the Bay, back to the East Bay, right? It should be a Sunday night game. Is it a Sunday night game? I don't think they do that to us. Make it a night game. That'd be crazy. But Sunday in the East Bay. Yeah, yeah. It's got to be a win. It's got to be a win, man. It's got to be a win. I think that's a game that could turn our whole season around, right? And if I had to pick a game on the schedule that the Raiders turned on the light switch, I would say the 49er game. I would say the 49er game. A lot of people are forgetting the fact Clint Kubiak played them 3 times last year, not just 2, 3 times last year. A lot of people are forgetting the fact that Kubiak was in that building. He knows. He knows how Shanahan works. He knows how he thinks. He knows what he's trying to do to teams. He knows how he's trying to beat teams, right? He knows the game plan. He knows all of that. I think that's a big, big advantage for us going in the building, right? And then, they have a lot of issues too. Is the offensive line going to be what it was? They lost a lot of receivers, right? Can Christian McCaffrey stay healthy? I mean, lots of questions over there too. So if I had to choose one game on this roster that turned the whole season around for the Raiders, it would be going into San Francisco and coming away with a 1-point victory or a 2-point victory or a 3-point victory, right? Win by a field goal or, whatever. I think that would turn this whole season around just like that. People would be on it. Um, who do you think is going to get cut when it's time to trim down the roster? At what position? At what position? To break them all down, I mean, it would take a minute. Um, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I've said this many times on this channel. Last year, I predicted a lot of guys that weren't going to be on this team that weren't going to be brought back in free agency, and I was right. And I didn't like being right because a lot of those guys we needed. Now this year, it's hard. It's hard. If you look at the wide receiver room, you're like, man, it could go either way. Thornton could make it. He could not make it. Cedric Jackson could take his place. You could keep a guy like Philip Dorsett. You could bring in a guy like um, um, shit. I don't know who's a Chase Roberts. I don't know why sorry. I apologize. My brain is just fried today. Right? Chase Roberts could show out. A guy like EJ Williams, right, coming out of Indiana. Maybe Fernando is out there. Maybe EJ Williams comes out and plays. So we don't know, man. We don't know. It could go either way. The offensive line, they could keep 7, 8, 9, 10. We don't know. I don't know. Do you know? So it could go either way, man. It could go. There's so many positions that we actually have to choose which guys we want to, and then you actually have to choose: are we going the rebuild way? Because if you're going the rebuild way and you have a veteran with a rookie, say it's the veterans up here, rookies down here, right? Or maybe it's this close. If you have that, do you go with the veteran or do you go with the rookie and build for the future, right? Are you trying to win now and saying it's a rebuild? Those are a lot of questions to be asked. So, depending on what position you're saying, right? We could keep 3 quarterbacks, we could keep 2. Um, a lot to go over, a lot to go over. All right, and I'm gonna end with this. Actually, I won't end with this because I'll probably use this tomorrow. But so where do y'all have where do y'all have us in the AFC West? Right, with all the things we talked about, we looked at the schedule, we broke it all down. Let me put some of these schedules up here just so y'all could kind of grasp. Actually, that's not a good schedule. Do they have like a better? That's a video. They don't really have the schedule on anything where it's viewable. Oh, let's go images. There we go. Okay, that's much better. Much better. Much better. That's not what I clicked on. What the flip? All right, man. What is going on here? Oh, let's put on somebody else's schedule. All right, let's break this down. I like this. I like this. Oh shit! I have to save it to. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. But yeah, man, the Broncos won a lot of games last year by 3 points, by 1 point, a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. And again, the Chiefs, the Jaguars, the Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, the Chargers, and Seattle. That is one hell of a schedule that if they come out 3-3, they're doing good. But I wouldn't be surprised if they come out of there 2-4, right? I would not be surprised. And looking at it, I mean, but they split with the Chargers last year, right? 1-1, and with the Chiefs, I do believe, and then dominated us. They lost to the Jaguars last year, I do believe, in a close game. The Jaguars had their number. Um, the Rams with Miles Garrett. Oh, good lord, right? So, yeah, the AFC West is not. Oh, what the fuck did I just do? Yeah, so the AFC West is not as bad as some people make it out to believe, right? It's, oh my God, it's the gauntlet. There's no way we could ever win any of these teams. I'm still saying we could be 8-9. I'm sticking to that. Hey, if we're 8-9, bro, that is a huge improvement. That means they're taking a step in the right direction, right? That means we got decent quarterback play. We had a run game. We had a defense. And I'll take that all day. I'll take that all day. I'd be ecstatic to be 9-8, actually. Raiders. Appreciate you staying this long. I know it's been 2 hours, but since we only had my guy on for 30 minutes, I figured like I'd run it a little bit longer. See if y'all wanted to ask any questions. But yeah, 9-8. It seems like a very doable number, right? Very doable number. And I don't know. I don't know. But a lot of percentage of Raider Nation fans seem to think like 3 games, 4 games is the ceiling, right? Is the ceiling. Like, oh, can't win more than 3 or 4 games. Now, if that's the case, then maybe we made the wrong decision of drafting a quarterback number 1. Maybe we made the wrong decision of bringing in Clint Kubiak and making him the guy with Andrew Janoko to maybe we made a wrong decision by bringing in Tyler Linderbaum, because the only way I see this team not winning 6 games or more is catastrophic failures, major catastrophic failures. And please God, don't let that happen. But it's been a long time, 2 hours and 7 minutes. I appreciate everybody in the building. There's still 16 of y'all. But let me ask you this question. I got it somewhere. Hold on. I gotta find it first. Nope, it's not in there. All right, come on, man. What the hell did I do with it? Oh, here we go. Not that in here either. I'm gonna leave you with this. Right? Leave you with this. The following 8 coaches accomplished a feat by reaching the Super Bowl in their first season with a new team. Those 7 coaches were 1970 Baltimore Colts. Yes, not the Ravens, or not the Ravens, the Colts. Don McCafferty, right? 1989, San Francisco 49ers, first time coach George Seifert took the 49ers. Super Bowl, what the hell, 35. John Gruden, should have been us. Should have been us. But John Gruden inherited a great team, a Tony Dungy team that had one of the best defenses in all of football, is why Rob Johnson won a Super Bowl. But John Gruden with the Tampa Bay Bucks 2002, Jim Caldwell, Indianapolis Colts. So the Colts, two different regimes, teams have done it twice. Jim Caldwell 2009, Mike McCarthy, 2019 with the Green Bay Packers. Doug Peterson with the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2022. Mike Vrabel reached the Super Bowl in 2025 with the New England Patriots. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams that have come in and reached the Super Bowl in their first year. Now, again, not saying it's going to happen, but I'm not and won't ever say it won't, right? No matter how much I try to take the glasses off, the blinders off, there is never, ever, and will never, ever be a scenario where I think this team can only win 4 games. I just don't roll like that. That's not me. I'm all excited for the season to win 4 games, bro. that's it, right? So can't get excited to win 4 games. And if you look at just the 3 different teams that we play, that the division doesn't play, in the Saints, the Browns, and the Titans, those are very, very winnable games, right? Say you win those 3. Say you go 3-3 in the division, and maybe you fall into a win or 2. That's 8 and 9, right? So anything could happen, but the pads have not come on yet. We don't know who's going to be the starters when the pads come on. We don't know what this defense is going to be like. I know, maybe y'all don't know, but I know from the little birdie in my ear that says fast, flying around, and looking to knock heads and make turnovers. So if that's our defense, then it makes our offense better day one, and you never know what we can have. So, man, don't hate, don't discriminate. And you got to have more faith in this team, bro. More faith in this team. I know it's been a long time since we've won a game, since we won a playoff game, since we've done anything. But time is coming, man. Time is coming. Time is coming. It only takes the right people in the building, right? Do I have to remind you? The Rams won a Super Bowl with Kurt Warner, who was bagging groceries. Yes, bagging groceries before he came in and played that season. So anything is possible, man. It's any given Sunday. Anything can happen. I will never tear down this team unless they give me a reason to, and I will always build them up from the day that I was born to the day that I die. I'm always going to think the best out of this team. But yes, you got to take the blinders off and sometimes and be real. And I feel like being real, it's 6 games to me. It's 16 games. It's 6 games. I'm happy with 6 games. I would love more, of course. I would love 10. I would love 9. I would love 15. Shit, I'm not gonna lie. I would love every single one of those. However, will it happen? I don't know. Could it happen? It could. So let's just cross our fingers. 15-2. You never know, bro. You never know. Anything can happen. Nobody, and I mean nobody. Go back and look at anything you want to look at, even Patriots fans. There was not one person, I don't believe one person or one bet placed on the New England Patriots winning the Super Bowl, even making it to the Super Bowl. I'd be surprised if their fans even thought they were going to make the playoffs. But guess what? They lost the first game of the season and went on a historical run. And yes, it was historical. And you could say, well, they played soft teams. There's no soft teams in the NFL, bro. These are 1% of 1%ers. They beat the teams that they were put in front of. And you can't take anything away from the Patriots or the Broncos, because they have a soft schedule. You can't, because They beat who you put in front of them. They did what they were asked to do. So we need to go out and do that. I believe we can. That schedule doesn't mean nothing to me, right? If you believe this is the same team from last year, then you got to believe that those are the same teams from last year, right? And some teams get better, some teams get worse, some teams struggle, some teams have injuries. You never know, man. You never know. Some teams get out coaches. Nobody picked the Patriots or the Seahawks. Facts. Seahawks as well. There you go. Appreciate that. Nobody picked the Seahawks. Nobody even had the Broncos to make it to the NFC Championship, right? Nobody. Come on, man. Nobody had those teams. I think the only team that anybody had in the top 4 was the Rams, right? The rest of those teams snuck in there. Nobody thought they were going to be there. Some people thought, the Broncos could win the division if the Chiefs struggles, which they did. And which they did, right? But nobody had them. Nobody had them. I guarantee you, I didn't. To be honest, I said Jacksonville made a mistake by bringing in Liam Cohen, right? I thought Liam Cohen was a weasel telling Tampa Bay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be your offensive coordinator. And then last minute telling them, all right, well, I got this job opportunity and I'm going to go to Jacksonville. And we got 2 weeks before the season starts and you got no OC, right? I thought that was pretty shitty. But he went in there. He changed the culture. He was a good coach, right? People believed in him. They listened to what he was saying. And, you can get people to pick up what you're putting down just by your body language, how you carry yourself, and your confidence that you have in yourself. And I believe Clint Kubiak has that. He brings that. And that's why this team will be different. Shout out to everybody in the nation. Protect yourself, your mind, your family, and always hold a commitment to excellence to yourself. Peace out. Much love. Raiders. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Thanks, Justin Churchill. Thanks to the mods. Thanks for all the gifts and the love. I appreciate y'all.